Have you wondered what it takes to get booked at music festivals? Well, if you have, then you'll definitely want to check out our featured interview with Gary Spivack, Executive Senior VP, Talent and Curation at Danny Wimmer Presents. We discuss the current state of rock music and where it's evolving today, and how DWP is cultivating the next generation of hard rock and metal fans, as well as how new rock and metal bands can get on his radar, and much, much more. Coming up. This episode of the MUBUTV Insider video series is brought to you by the Music Business Registry. The Music Business Registry is the leading music industry publisher of the most up-to-date contact information for major and independent record label A&R, music publishers, artist managers, music attorneys, music supervisors, and much, much more. The Music Business Registry is the trusted industry standard and source serving the music business community for over 30 years with the most accurate and up-to-date contact information available. Their titles include the A&R Registry, the Film and Television Music Guide, the Music Publisher Registry, and the Music Attorney Registry. All of their publications are available in PDF, CSV, or online subscription. Visit musicregistry.com and use coupon code MUBUTV10 at checkout. That's musicregistry.com, coupon code MUBUTV10. When you're ready to put your music to work, musicregistry.com. Hi, it's Eric Knight from MUBUTV, where our mission is to educate, empower, and engage your music career. We're coming to you from the Global Rock Summit in Burbank, California, where we managed to catch up with Gary Spivack, who is the Executive Senior VP at DWP, which stands for Danny Wimmer Presents. Gary, thank you so much for doing this.
Nice to see you, brother.
It's a real honor to have you on the show.
Oh, my pleasure.
You know, you just came off speaking at the State of the Worldwide Music Industry panel here at Global Rock Summit. And I wanted to ask you, from your perspective, what is the current state of rock music today and where do you see it evolving?
I am one to I just don't subscribe to the is rock dead, what's wrong with rock crap. Can I swear on this?
Yeah, we'll probably bleep it out.
All right. Bleep. You know, where my issue is not so much with rock music. It's so much where, and we touched on this in the panel, where I feel there's a real attention span issue in our society, in the Western world, which goes to rock, because what rock takes is proper attention span. You know, when I was younger, 15 or a 16-year-old person, boy, girl, we would listen to Dark Side of the Moon. We listened to London Calling in full. We listened to Rush 2112 and analyze it. And we listened to OK Computer, Radiohead, or The Black Album by Metallica, or Appetite for Destruction, and the list goes on and on. These great albums. And you'd study and you'd become lifers as fans with these rock bands. I don't see that today. I don't see a 15-year-old listening to a full album. I see a 15-year-old listening to 20 seconds on TikTok. And that really concerns me, because it concerns me for a couple reasons. It concerns me because I think we're going to have a real, if not already, social media addiction issue. I think social media addiction will be right up there with the opioid crisis. Sorry to go dark on that, but I think that plays into rock and roll, because what rock and roll truly takes, in my opinion, is attention.
Yeah.
So having said that, the other side of the coin is, I think rock and roll is extremely vibrant. I think there's actual legit rock stars today. I think Youngblood is a rock star. I think he's a new Billy Idol. I think Machine Gun Kelly, like him, love him, hate him, whatever, is a rock star. And that's supposed to be a rock star.
Right.
You're supposed to love him or hate him. Fred Durst, Axl Rose, Elvis Presley, you know, polarizing.
Right.
So I'm optimist that the combination of Foo Fighters, Guns N' Roses, Kiss, Metallica, and then you have this swelling of Machine Gun Kelly and Turnstile and Youngblood, and the list goes on, that rock is in a good place.
Yeah, and I agree with you. The whole thing with the attention thing is because I think we're just bombarded. There's so many things now. We've got 6,000 cable channels. There's so much choice that's where I think we're running into that issue that I agree with you. And that's the hardest thing to attain, is someone's attention. Yeah. So let me ask you, take us through a typical day of Gary Spivack at DWP. I mean, I know that you guys are planning these events year out. Take us in a typical day in your life of what a day is like at DWP. What are you guys working on, and what are you guys doing?
It is hard to retain information. I'm doing my best. So it's a combination of who are our headliners, who are the bands that are direct to support the headliners, and is the right up-and-coming bands that will mean something not only today, but in 2023. So it's just kind of this constant push and pull between the making sure you super serve,
right,
and then you educate.
Yep.
So you super serve with the Foo Fighters and Guns N' Roses and Kiss and Korn, and you educate with the Mysterines and Nova Twins, and even things like Architects, which is still an education process. Arena band in England, busting out here in the States. So in terms of like how do I look at curation and booking a festival for 40,000 people a day?
Yeah, that is an art form, what you're doing, because you're the head of talent curation. Now, is it just you, or is it, obviously I would assume you guys have a team that you work with. How does that selection process go? I mean, is that like throwing it all up on a board and going, these are the bands that we've got? It's almost like a football team. You're kind of like...
Yeah, it's a good question. Danny Wimmer, myself, Amanda Phelan, who has truly emerged as one of the new superstars in the industry. We're a team of 3, but then we talk to our marketing department, who's, between, if band A and band B and they're somewhat identical, let's look at the facts: ticket sales, social numbers, lifestyle, merch numbers, what band is, moving a needle, and then there's just a gut feel that is sadly becoming an antiquated, outdated thought, because people are so not going by their gut, and
right.
I am.
They're obsessed by the numbers and the analytics and everything. That's great. This gets back to the earlier question that we opened up with what you were saying, and not to beat a dead horse, but we've been hearing for years now that rock is dead, like you were saying before, dying a slow death. The audiences are aging out. How is DWP, and I think this is a really important question, how is DWP nurturing and cultivating the next generation of rock metal music fans? Not the bands themselves, because we know we've got a lot of great pool of talent going there, but how is that next generation of music fan being developed? Is it their parents bringing their kids in? How do you guys see that?
As a promoter in the strict world of business, it's kind of not our responsibility. Our responsibility is to sell concert tickets.
Right.
But we also kind of are unique promoters that we actually care about who's the next Foo Fighters, who are the next Guns N' Roses. Because if we don't cultivate that farm system,
you don't have a business
we're dead.
Anymore. Right.
So it's this delicate dance between super serving, giving them Papa Roach and Chevelle and Seether, tried and true down the middle, and educating them, throwing them a Struts or I keep on going back to things like Turnstile or Nova Twins or Mysterines, that one day you prop them up. I mean, one of my greatest stories is Hailstorm. Took a shot on them through their manager, Bill McGathy, who needed a shot. This is before their first single was ever released, which was Love Bites, maybe. Mm-hmm. And saw it was a sister, Lizzie, and a younger brother, RJ, on drums. It's Bill McGathy. I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. Threw him on at noon on the side stage, loved him. 2 years later, they played later in the day on that side stage. 2 years after that, opened the main stage. 2 or 3 years after that, they're a middle band. And now Hailstorm's become like a core, their family. And we've cultivated that. And Five Finger Death Punch, tons of these bands have become family to DWP. So we feel we are doing our part in propping up these bands while still super serving.
Absolutely. Gary, this is a 2-part question for you. Who is the audience for today's rock music, and how are you specifically reaching them?
Rock music is somewhat older based. We don't want to chase trends. So, it's that 24 to 39-year-old is kind of the sweet spot, but it goes older, and at times it goes younger with a Machine Gun Kelly or a Youngblood, and it could go older with a Kiss or an Alice Cooper fan. And so we want to cast this wide net for rock. We want to be able to give them Lamb of God and Megadeth, but then give them Youngblood and Machine Gun Kelly, and give them down the middle.
And are you finding that those newer audiences, like with the Machine Gun Kellys that are bringing in that younger audience, are you finding that those younger audiences attending, that they're obviously coming because they're super fans of Machine Gun Kelly, but are you finding them that they're falling in love with the event itself?
Yes, great comment. Yes, and the older guy who's there for Skynyrd or Alice Cooper is like, I'll check that out. Oh, this guy rocks. This guy's legit. And vice versa, the kid who's seen a T-shirt of Misfits or Megadeth will check that. So it's this cross culture, and then yes, you have to provide this great experience. You can't just throw up on a parking lot with stale beer and corn dogs. You have to give them good food, great drink, a visual experience, a visceral vibe, so they come back the next year. And if parking sucks, if the traffic sucks, if the experience sucks, they ain't returning, and your festival's dead. So you got to brand your festival with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Take us through the journey, and we talked about it a little bit earlier about a typical day for you, of what goes into the criteria and selection of the newer bands for the lineups for your various festivals. Is it like the agents pitching you, or do you seek out who is available? What is that process when you guys are looking at doing the next festival?
Yeah, it's a combination of if there's a good team around a band, and again, if there's A and B and they're the same, and if the team, we will go with the one that has more muscle behind the band. And then there's a case of like this band from Columbus, Ohio called Air, A-E-I-R, unsigned, no agent, heard the song, thought it was rad, and I'm gonna give it a shot. So it's always, like we said in the panel, if your music's great and you have a good team around you, we're gonna find you.
How do newer, and this is basing what you were talking about with this band Air that you were speaking of, how do newer rock metal bands get on your radar for consideration at the DWP Festival? Do you have to have an agent? Do you need to be signed to a label? I mean, you just illustrated with this example with Air that's not necessarily the case.
It's the rare exception. You don't do it in a vacuum. You make a great song, awesome, good for you. But you got to have you got to have your ducks in a row. You got to have a right team. You got to have a good marketing and promotion person. Get a good label behind you. Get a great agent. Get a good man. I'm going backwards. Start a manager who's going to execute your vision as a band. What's your mission statement? Who are you as an artist? What are you saying? Right. And then you have to have that team execute your vision. Yeah.
Okay. Gary, are there any specific books or videos or any other types of media that you would recommend to our insiders that you would feel are helpful in shaping their music? Something that influenced you that you might want to share, whether it's films?
That's cool. That's a good question. I devour rock docs. Devour them. I love them. I love the format. I love the genre. From 20 Feet from Stardom, which I watched last night.
That was a wonderful. You're the second person that brought that up. It's such a great film.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So, Academy Award winner. To the Velvet Underground's doc. To anything that Dave Grohl puts his hand on. Right. I produced a movie called Long Live Rock.
Right.
Long Live Rock. So it's on Prime Video and Apple TV. There's a plug for you. Long Live Rock, Celebrate the Chaos.
We will share that.
It really shows what this rock world is, this family, this community, the spirit, this energy that is captivated in these festivals. So if you have ADD, like many of us, and you can't sit down and read a book, go watch a great rock doc.
Okay, excellent. We will do that. We'll have all those for everybody to see. What advice would you give, or do you have as a music industry executive for up and coming artists who are looking to have a career in music?
Just be great. Just don't suck. Songcraft. The standard, know how to write a verse and a chorus and a middle eight and come back to the chorus. Sing. Try to do everything minus the computer and Pro Tools. The more raw and genuine you are, and if you're saying something, and it's okay to talk about fast cars and girls or guys or whatever, but try to say something with your lyric. Songs win.
Some really useful information coming from Gary on how you can get booked at music festivals, coming from one of the most important promoters of hard rock and metal acts, Danny Wimmer Presents. So insiders, here's the question of the day. What were some of the most pivotal points that stood out to you in our conversation with Gary? Was it how Danny Wimmer Presents is nurturing and cultivating the next generation of rock metal music fans? Or was it who is the audience for today's new rock and metal music? Or was it what goes into the criteria and selection of newer bands for the lineups of their festivals? Or maybe it was something else that connected with you. We'd love to hear from you in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe to MUBUTV for more information on how to educate, empower, and engage your music career. You can also check out a summary of this episode and everything we talked about in the description below as well. And if you enjoyed this video, we'd really love it if you hit the like button and let us know what other kinds of videos and types of content you would want to see on our channel. Hit us up in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.